So I want to start with a little exercise before we get into everything. Take a moment and close your eyes. It doesn't matter how your body is positioned. I want you to bring to mind something that you have accomplished recently, something that has recently grown to fruition or blossomed. It can be a work accomplishment, it can be something personal, but whatever it is, something that you've done just for yourself. Something that you planted seeds for because it was something you wanted. A new way of being in the world, new way of doing something. Just one thing that you have noticed has begun to bear fruit in your life. And as you hold this in your mind, also think about the work that has gone into it. The nurturing, the tending, the care, all of the things that you've put effort into that has resulted in this blooming in your life. And as you acknowledge the accomplishment, thing that is blooming, as you acknowledge the work that you've done, that you've put into it, allow yourself to open space for the emotions that will come up for that. Whether they be happy, proud, satisfied, some sense of warmth of work having paid off for you. Just allow that emotion to be present. Allow yourself to feel it in your body. To stand back for a moment and just gaze upon this accomplishment. And as you revel in these emotions, allow a single word to float into your mind that describes how it feels to acknowledge what you have created. Just a single word. And you can go ahead and open your eyes. What was the word that came to mind? And what was the experience of bringing the accomplishment or the blossoming to mind, and then allowing yourself to like revel in, wow, like really acknowledging what you had accomplished? Was it a new experience for you? Is it something that do you allow yourself to do that? The theme today is all about spring, this being the first week of spring. And spring really calls us to to pause and pay attention to the things that are blooming around us. We're surrounded by flowers coming up, all the colors that come from the tulips and the red and blue and yellows and purples, and the trees are all blooming with, white flowers, pink flowers, purple flowers, and the scents that are coming in with the blooming of the flowers, the grass turning from beige to green. So it's a cycle of nature that really allows us to remember, that there was a period where something was planted, and a period that it rested in darkness as it was dormant, and a period where it has grown and blossomed based on the nurturing that it has received. So it's really the perfect reminder to pause and also acknowledge the blossoming in our own lives, where we have planted seeds, nurtured those seeds, and now we get to stand back and enjoy watching them grow. And certainly that is something in our everyday lives that we don't allow for. We're always plowing, we're always planting, we're always working. And there's nothing around us that in our human lives that tells us to, hey, you know what, pause a minute and just enjoy it. It's okay to pause it and enjoy it, pause and enjoy it. Spring can be this reminder for us. This is where nature comes in and can be such a great teacher for us. Even when we're living in an urban environment where it's it's still there, but there's distractions everywhere. So I wanted to walk through this exercise to give us a moment to really bring some awareness to how we are with our accomplishments. And as I use the word accomplishment, it's not really a word I like, but it's the word that we all understand. You know what I mean when I say accomplishment. It doesn't necessarily have to be hard, productive goals, right? It can be something at work that, something career related that you wanted to do that was just for yourself, that was not prompted by a boss or something like that. But I also like to think of it more in terms of personal plantings. If we're on a path in our life and then we stop for a moment and we're like, you know what, I need to change something. I'm not really connecting with who I am in this moment anymore. I'm not feeling authentic. I'm not feeling happy in my life. That's a sort of awakening, a small awakening for us, where we start to make conscious choices in our life about how we want to be, how we want to live our lives. And so the planting begins at that point. Once we identify those things that we do want to nurture. So the planting of those seeds begins. And it can feel very different from how we're used to planning goals and accomplishing, working toward hard goals. Because often these things are soft, they're often internal, they're often, ways of being that cannot be quantified, but they're so important still. So we recognize that we've planted those seeds. And sometimes we feel like we haven't made any progress, that it's like a period of dormancy. Just as the seeds go into winter and they are in the dark and they're in the cold and the sun is lighter, so they're not getting as much of that. So just as the seeds in nature move into that period of dormancy in the winter, we ourselves do as well. But we continue to water it, continue to nurture the goals and the things that we want for ourselves in our lives. And then suddenly we start to see a growth. It can be very small, like when a seed first pops out of the soil and it's very, very tiny and it's very, very delicate and fragile and so green and easily squashed in that place, right? So we continue to to nurture it. We continue to give it all of the things that it needs. And then it begins to get bigger and grow stronger and get bigger and bigger. And where flowers are concerned, at some point they bloom. We'll see a bud, which is like the promise. Look, it really is coming. It's coming. And then it blooms. And then we see the flower. And it's the same thing with the things that we've planted in our own lives, where we've put intention into how we want our lives to be. So it's important to allow ourselves that space to step back, kind of have a larger view of the whole process that we've been going through. Remember the planting of the seeds, remember original intention, and see the whole process and recognize, oh, well, look, that there were these times when I thought nothing was happening. These times when I was going to give up because I didn't see any progress or it felt like setbacks. But it was really just part of the longer process. And as we're seeing in the last week or two of spring really blooming all around us, even in the city, and the thing that I notice the most is the grass turns green again from being that horrible straw yellow color, and then the trees budding, coming in. And it's happening all around us. Even the flowers are coming up. We're starting to see more, insect activity. The birds are coming in, coming back, singing, like celebrating. Spring is here, spring is here. And it's happening all around us, as I said. But how often do we allow ourselves to step out of our day, out of our house, out of our office, step barefoot into the grass, and feel the cool, soft green grass before it gets hard again for the summer? Look up at the sky, close our eyes, and just let the sun soak onto our face. Allow ourselves to feel the warmth of that. So spring is not just a time of remembering of the rebirth of all of this life, but also a moment, a time where we can be reminded to pause and enjoy life. Take a blanket out to the park, by a pond, under a tree, and lounge on the blanket, watching the clouds float by, and just be in that. Watch the dogs running around chasing balls, the birds flying around. Another season of remembering to enjoy life, to enjoy the beauty that's around us, that it's okay to pause in the busyness of our everyday life and allow ourselves to do that. It's really beautiful when we can be in tune with the cycles of nature going on around us, and we can take note from it. We can use that in the teaching in our lives to give us some, external way of being that's actually very connecting. Where so much of our lives, our external ways of being, are disconnecting. And as we take a step back and we enjoy the beauty around us and enjoy, relish the blooming of our accomplishments, we can note how it feels to acknowledge ourselves for the work that we've done, to acknowledge ourselves for what we have created of our own volition, because we wanted it, not because anybody else told us to, not because we wanted to accomplish this, thing. We wanted to go buy that thing or make this certain amount of money. We learn to turn that inward, and it becomes an act of self-compassion, an act of gratitude, of acknowledging how hard we've worked, that we had this intention. It becomes a real way of loving ourselves, of self-care. That's very, very deep and connecting. So let's go ahead and have a sit. I invite you to come into your seated posture. You can have your eyes open with a soft gaze, a foot or two in front of you. Or you're welcome to have your eyes closed as well. We'll begin by taking in 3 deep inhales and exhales at your own pace. And then allow your breath to come into its natural rhythm. Bringing your awareness to the top of your head, and allowing all of the sensations of this place to come into your awareness. Whatever you may be noticing or not noticing. Feeling of the hair on the top of the head, the temperature of the room, maybe even just a general idea of a feeling there. And allow your awareness to gently scan down over your forehead and your eyes, releasing any subtle tension you may notice around the muscles of the eyes. Continuing to scan over the nose and the cheeks, the mouth, and the jaw. Pausing a moment to notice if you feel any extra tension in the jaw, and allowing that to loosen as you exhale. Continuing down the throat and the neck, the upper shoulders. Again, pausing to notice if you are holding any extra tension in these areas. If so, just let it go. Continuing down over the chest and the upper back, the torso, stomach, lower back and hips. Continuing through the sits bones, noticing the feeling of the cushion beneath you. Continuing on down the legs, over the knees, through the calves and the shins, the ankles and the feet. Allowing your awareness to settle on the sensations of the feet on the floor. Beginning to slowly grow the awareness from the feet on the floor to include the sensations in the ankles, including the sensations of the legs crossed if they're crossed. Continuing to scan up the body, growing the bubble of awareness to include also the feeling of the shins and the calves and the knees and the legs, and perhaps also the feeling of the hands on the legs. Continuing to grow to include the feeling of the sits bones on the cushion, the hips, the belly, the back and torso, chest and shoulders, neck and jaw, the whole of the face and head. Imagining this bubble enveloping the totality of your body, all the sensations within the body. Resting in the awareness of the presence in the moment through the body. As we hold the awareness of our bodies in the present moment, bring to mind once again the thing that has blossomed in your life, the accomplishment, whatever it may be, the thing you planted seeds for, that you tended and nurtured, that now are coming to fruition. Allow this thing to produce the emotions. Allowing yourself to feel the emotions and the feelings that come up as you really bask in all of the work that has gone into this blossoming. Allow those emotions to be present. The feeling of happiness, of pride, of accomplishment, satisfaction. Whatever it is, just let it be there. Allow yourself to acknowledge, to pause to appreciate this blossoming. Perhaps bringing a little smile to the face. Just notice how it feels to turn your awareness toward a sense of congratulations to yourself. What would it be like if we could always show appreciation to ourselves for the ways we've planted, the ways we've nurtured, for the entire process, and of course, for the blooming? How would life be different? Continuing to hold those emotions within you. In the final moments of this meditation, I invite you, if it feels right for you, place your hand on your chest, over your heart, and offer yourself gratitude. Gratitude for acknowledging the hard work you've put in, acknowledging the intentions you've set, ways in which you've wanted to change or bring just a different way of being into your life. And offer gratitude for allowing yourself to recognize what has bloomed and reveling in this accomplishment. Close out this meditation with a poem called Today by Billy Collins. If ever there were a spring day so perfect, so uplifting, so uplifted by a warm, intermittent breeze, that it made you want to throw open all the windows in the house and unlatch the door to the canary's cage, indeed rip the little door from its jamb, a day when the cool brick paths and the garden bursting with peonies seemed so etched in sunlight that you felt like taking a hammer to the glass paperweight on the living room end table, releasing the inhabitants from their snow-covered cottage so they could walk out, holding hands and squinting, into the large dome of blue and white. Well, today is that kind of day. When you're ready, you're welcome to open your eyes, come back into the room.